the Soviets were, in fact, great pioneers of propaganda. And throughout the Civil War years of tremendous deprivation, poverty, famine, it was disastrous. The Civil War is much more destructive than any other period, really, hitherto in Russia in terms of its cost in human lives. Nonetheless, they pour money into commemoration. And they quickly pass over the February Revolution, celebrating instead the October Revolution as the popular revolution. What I didn't say talking about that was that, in fact, more people were to be injured in the commemoration, the famous commemorations of the October Revolution, than were, in fact, in the course of the Bolshevik takeover, which was, in fact, a quite quick military operation. So, in fact, already during the Civil War, they staged great street sort of Sans Lumière in the French style, with playing out the takeover of the Winter Palace on Palace Square, and with Reds, sort of the popular workers, Kerensky's government, the battleship Aurora, spotlights, showing where the action is, and, as I say, staging it, having a revolutionary crowd storming the Winter Palace. That actually, the scenario for this great street spectacle, which was played out at night in the capital, in Petrograd, with, as I say, spotlights being deployed, and thousands of people and thousands of spectators. That scenario was taken up in one of the great films that commemorates the revolution and has done so much to shape the memory of revolution, and that was Eisenstein's 1927/8 film October. Because it actually recapitulates that, and it ends with this famous scene where you show the famous arch that leads into the square of the crowd of revolutionary mob surging across the square, climbing up the famous gates, toppling the double-headed eagle of the Tsars, and surging into the Winter Palace to announce popular revolution. So the Soviets were very keen to commemorate the revolution as a popular revolution, as the summit of what the people really wanted. Although it was a reinterpretation, of course, of what actually happened in October. But that is how, more or less, the revolution was commemorated. In the late Soviet period, of course, we'll remember it as probably some people at least will remember it as streams of tanks and weaponry rolling through Red Square while the sclerotic elderly Soviet leadership reviewed the parade. And that's how Revolution Day was commemorated, and it was a public holiday right up until the end of the Soviet regime. Under Yeltsin, it became chaotic, and then it was replaced by the 4th of November, which is now the day of, I think it's called National Reconciliation. So it's kind of dropped out of public consciousness. And how the centenary will be remembered is an interesting question, because, of course, Mr. Putin doesn't really like popular revolutions, as we know from his attitude to revolution in Kiev, revolution in Georgia, and the other color revolutions.